Hello, I'm Yu-Chen, and this is my topic. And the presentation I'm going to talk about is part of my ongoing PhD project. So this is the outline. I'll briefly explain what is AAC, and then I'll introduce the background of current trend of developing everything as apps, and then I will then talk about my project. So, what is AAC? The full name is augmentative alternative communication, or sometimes it is called communication aids. It is like an umbrella term to denote everything, all kinds of means that can help people with communication difficulties to communicate or generate speech. So that, as you can see, that could cover something like facial expression, or like sign languages, or some cardboards with signs or symbols, or some computer systems that could generate speech. So everything that can help people with communication difficulties to communicate, that could be called AAC. And people in the industry or healthcare professionals, they will use this kind of systems to categorize AAC. Mostly they will use whether this thing involves technology or not, or involves computer system or not. So they can be like no tech, low tech, or high tech. And for most of the dedicated AAC involving computers, like dedicated high tech AAC, people don't usually get it just on a store on the street. You have to go through all these professional assessment systems to get devices. They're usually quite expensive, sometimes cost like more than £1,000 for one high-tech AAC. So I'll go through this. For someone who are thought to be in need of this kind of devices, he or she will go through a healthcare professional to do an assessment, and then after the assessment, he or she will then get a professional devices to have a trial, and then maybe after a few weeks or months of a trial, then do an assessment and review again to see if the person can go on with the devices. And then this is the full diagram of how it works in Scotland. And so when I just listed, you might still feel a bit unclear how it works. I'll just play this clip. This is one of the most famous figures who use AAC, which is the British physicist Stephen Hawking. So this is just.
Can you hear me?
Okay. So you can see that the voice he plays is most likely to be pre-recorded. Then he controls the access to play the pre-recorded speech. Okay, so another more recent figure who used AAC is, I don't know if anyone who knows him, he's the Lost Voice guy who maybe lately won the British Got Talent 2018, and he quite often joined the Fringe. He came here last year as well, and so I'll just play a clip of his performance as well.
Hello, my name is Lee, and for obvious reasons, I'm also known as the Lost Voice guy.
Okay, and how long have you lost your voice?
I just knew you were going to ask something that I hadn't thought about beforehand. So please excuse the awkward silence while I type out my answer.
So you can feel how slow if someone uses devices to type his speech in real speed.
I think I entered Britain's Got Talent for the same reason everyone does. To meet Ant and Dec.
This is all going so well up until that point. The stage lead is yours.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. As you may be able to tell, I'm a struggling stand-up comedian who also struggles to stand up. To be honest, I'm not sure how good I am. I'll leave it for you to decide. But, just so you know, if you don't laugh at the disabled guy, you are going to hell.
Okay, we can watch the rest if we got time later. So there's another thing I want to point by showing these two videos that you can see that what Stephen Hawking used is like a very big, bulky devices to help him generate speech. But you might have noticed what the Lost Voice guy used is actually nothing different from what everyone uses now. He's using an app on his iPad. So he's using his AAC on like personal mobile devices like everyone else is using. So before I get to my study, I want to talk a little bit about the app thing. So I like to ask my audience to think, just in mind, how many apps do you have in your iPhone? Or you can also have a guess on average, how many apps do on average people have on their mobile devices. So we can probably date it back this developing everything as apps back to Apple developed their App Store and their Apple's iPhone 3G around 2008 and 2009. This commercial is 2009, and they also created this very sounding sentence. There's anything for an app.
What's great about the iPhone is that if you want to check snow conditions on the mountain, there's an app for that. If you want to check how many calories are in your lunch, there's an app for that.
So, since this phenomenon has been increasingly important, so OECD has coined this term app economy in 2008. Then later in 2013, they featured that this app economy has increasingly relied on free and cheap apps to support this whole economy. And also more and more industry has tried to get involved in the app economy as well. And so the answer for the question I just asked, on average, like 80 in 2023. I don't know how it's compared to what you have on your iPhone. And there's other key features I listed here. So you kind of sense that there's a trend that more and more products and services are moving towards platform like things and App Store, so you can get everything almost from education, healthcare, your Uber Drive and your delivery platform, and specifically app stores. Scholars call it a platform society to like call this phenomenon. And assistive technology is not been living alone with this phenomenon. So you might some people might heard of the app like TapTapC, or I don't know if you heard of them. Be My Eyes, they are apps that are designed to help people with visual disability to see things by using clouds or from someone else to help them to read things. So there are more and more assistive technology that being developed as apps as well. But the most growing assistive technology that being developed as apps is actually AAC. So if you Google AAC, the results not only include what defined as AAC, but you will see a lot of results telling you where to find free and cheap AAC apps. So this goes to my, finally, research question, which around how this development has changed how AAC been channeled. And well, my research is based in Scotland and mostly based on qualitative methods, mostly interviews with people from the industry and some healthcare workers and some families and users. And I also collected some digital data which are available like places like app stores and some websites. So in the rest of the talk, I will just discuss two parts of the features. One is about how this channeling affects categorization of AAC and the provision of AAC. So for one part, AAC app has been made more and more cheap. And another thing is that companies try to offer more and more options of the products and services. So in this graph, I show a product which is the same thing that used by the Lost Voice guys, which is a very popular AAC app called Prolog to Go. So everyone can just buy it and download it on Apple App Store, and it has iPhone version, iPad version, and also the iWatch version as well, if I remember correctly. So there's a few things that you can notice on this Apple app product page. One thing is as an app is relatively expensive, but it's still like 10 times cheaper than what the dedicated high-tech AAC usually be. And I will talk about price later, but there's another thing I want you to see here is how it is categorized. It is categorized in the category of education, which is a bit different from other dedicated high-tech AAC devices. So how do AAC categorize? For most dedicated AAC, if they want to sell them as assistive technology, they have to approve as medical devices. That is most cases. But for these apps, because they are sold as apps, so they don't really need to be approved as medical devices. But if they want to sell on App Store, they have to categorize themselves as something that fits into App Store's category. So you got to choose something between like social, news, weather, or those categories. How these companies categorize their products are mostly based on what kind of market they want to promote themselves. So most of them will try to fit themselves in the category of education, because that will help them attract bigger market of users. And so the way they categorize themselves is not just about to get approval of a certificate, but how they can be able to attract a wider user. But there's some like interesting, just sometimes companies categorize themselves differently. I just use other examples here, like TapTapC and Be My Eyes. They're both similar products of apps, but one is categorized as utility, but the other is categorized as lifestyle. So it really depends on how companies try to sell their products. And another thing is about prices. So as I mentioned, dedicated high-tech AAC are quite expensive. As the right side here are the prices of many like dedicated devices, and the left side is their app counterparts. So you can see they are like 10 times cheaper than what their dedicated counterpart, but still as apps are very expensive. But there are also many like free and cheap apps, like only cost like 5 or 6, less than £20, and you can just download it on App Store. And companies also offer other options for users to get this product, like you can, apart from like one-time purchase, you can subscribe monthly or yearly, like things like that. You don't own the product, you don't own the devices, you only have subscription to the products. So you have multiple choices how you're gonna buy the products, like many of other products you can get on the App Store. And also, because it becomes more competitive in this market, so, and it's a low barrier to enter the industry. So it becomes more and more products of AAC apps, and then companies also try to compartmentalization of their products. For example, what they used to sell as a full package in like traditional AAC devices, including all kinds of language package or services, everything included. Now this is an app version of one of the products I listed before. The company tried to sell it in like, they just like break it apart, everything with prices. So users can choose what they think suits them and just buy it. So it doesn't come with a whole package with all the services. But the prices come with a trade-off. So because the prices are like 10 times cheaper than what they used to be, so most of the traditional AAC manufacturers no longer rely on this money to because the original prices usually include the services, the implementation and assessment and everything. But once it is the prices is cut off, everything else is no longer come along with it. And some people working in the industry worried about that this will have very detrimental to the industry. And there are rumors that some of the company went bankrupt because of this, because of the reasons. And so, for many app developers, they try to promote these apps because it is more directly accessible to users. So from what it used to be that users get access to the devices from assessment of the professionals to more directly to the two ways from the developers. But there's a trade-off. users are treated more as like they are getting products, digital products, no difference from other digital products that you can get on the App Store. So I just summarized some of the discussions I mentioned, and yep. So that's my talk today, and thanks for listening. Welcome to all the thoughts and feedbacks. Thank you.